All right, so today I wanted to talk about what indicators I use and why. Um, so each different chart is going to have a different set of indicators, but generally I like to keep it really simple because the more lines that you have on the chart, obviously, the more distracted you can get. I've noticed that algorithms typically respond or react really strongly to certain indicators, and those are the only ones I keep on my charts. So the ones that I've noticed, and I'll just go through them. This is a 5-minute chart, so the indicators I put on my 5-minute chart are going to be a little bit different than the ones that I put on my daily chart and my 24-second chart. So what we have here is this orange dotted line. That is going to be the today's open. The dotted yellow line is the VWAP. And then these two blue lines are the exponential moving averages based off the 5-minute chart. I don't really use those too much except for to check to see if we're still going on momentum or to see if the price movement and trend is starting to slow down. Another thing I like to use these for is when these lines are aligned with, like, let's say the VWAP or today's open, that can create a much stronger point of resistance or support. So if I'm looking at to use those for support and resistance, usually it's because they're in alignment with one of these guys up here. This bright green solid line here is the previous day's high. And then I also have the previous day's low. So if I shrink the chart, you can see it down here. These are really useful because this shows you the range from the previous day. And if we see a stock get out of the previous day's range, we have, good potential to run. So the next important indicators that I have are these thick dashed lines down here, and each of these represents a different moving average transposed from the daily chart onto the 5-minute chart. And that really helps out for not having to keep switching back between the daily chart and the 5-minute chart to see, what is the daily 20 EMA looking like. So the blue is the 20, and I keep the colors the same. So this blue up here is going to be a 20 exponential moving average, but this one is based off of the 5-minute chart, and the dashed one is based off of the daily chart. And that's how I know the difference. So if the price is going to come into this line, I know that this is going to be a really big point of support or resistance. And then I also have the pink is the 100 simple moving average, the green is the 50 exponential, and the purple is the simple 200 moving average. So it seems like if you compare, like, some people will use exponentials for the 100 and 200, but it's really personal preference. I think that they both do have reactivity, but I think the simple moving averages for the 100 and the 200 have the higher reactivity, but that's just my opinion. So it's really all about preference on those. And then down here, of course, we've got volume. Some people like to change the colors to blue to make it more neutral so it's less distracting. I just keep it red and green so I have an idea of who was in control at each time period. And then there's a yellow line that goes across my volume bars down here, and that would be a 50-period moving average of the volume. So I can tell when the volume is way above average or way below, as you can see here now. So that's my 5-minute chart. I like to keep it simple, and then of course I'll add my pivot lines on top of this that I've created on the daily chart. And if you guys want to see how I do those pivots, you can check out my other video called Analyzing the QQQ. So let's move over to a 24-second chart, and I'll show you what I put on there. I have a hotkey set up, so I can just hit Shift 2 and it'll plot my indicators that I want to use for the 24-second chart. Let me just get rid of my pivots real quick and then drop this back on. All right, so you can see I have more of kind of the same, and the 24-second is actually really simple because I'm mostly just using pivots to determine which way the stock price is gonna go. So here's a 24-second chart. I still have the today's open. I still have the VWAP. I still have the yesterday's high and low. And I also still have the moving averages transposed from the from the daily chart. So those all four of those are there. Those are really important. So I have those on any chart that I use. Now what you'll see here are these little dotted, really thin blue lines. And what these are is I've transposed the exponential moving averages from the 5-minute chart onto the 20-second chart. And that just gives me an idea of like so one of my trading rules that's part of my strategy is if we're on momentum and I'm trading a trend, if the 5-minute 20 EMA breaks, then that's a good sign to exit the trade. So yeah, it's pretty simple. I like to keep it clean. And like I said, for the 24-second chart, I'm pretty much going off of pivots. So I can actually drop them back on here and you can see how many pivots I actually had for today for CCJ. By the way, today is September 13th, 2021, and I posted a watch list for CCJ this morning, about half an hour before the market opened. So here you can see my pivots from today, and then let me just drop back those indicators on here. So this is what my 24-second chart would normally look like with the volume and all those indicators I mentioned. And then these are the pivot points that I had mapped out for today. So lastly, I'm going to show you the daily chart. And this I really like to keep super, super simple. So let's get rid of all these lines here. And I have another hotkey to just get those indicators on there that I like. And these are things that I have pre-saved already. And I spent some time just getting those together and saving them. So I like to put on the Bollinger Bands because I like to see how stretched out the stock is from its average. And Bollinger Bands are basically 2 standard deviations above or below, but you can also change those settings based off of what you like. I think 2 standard deviations above and below the average is the typical way it's used. And then I have the 200 simple moving average here, the 9, the 20, the 100, and the 50. So it's pretty much the same thing that you see. These lines are essentially transposed onto my 5-minute chart and my 24-second chart as well. So the 9 EMA is good for momentum. So if you're like way above it, you can tell that this is huge momentum. The 20 EMA is good to make sure that we're still on trend. So if we severely break the 20, then you know that the trend is probably ending. And then the 50 and 100 are kind of just more highly reactive spots that I like to watch out for. And then the 200 is like the last line in the sand where we're going to see a lot of reactivity to the 200 because that's one of, it's a longer time frame. So you're going to have some really strong reactions around the 200. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Those are the indicators that I put on my charts specifically for trading large caps and day trading and swing trading. These are for a specific strategy. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy, like the video, subscribe, and follow me on StockTwits if you guys do want to see my watch list every morning. It's Hey Little Trader with 2 R's at the end.